So this is a second part of creating Excel file, so Excel file generation in Django, and we're going to continue with our views.py. And if you can remember from our last video, we got up to here, we created the data headers, the first row of our Excel file. So now I'm going to first define two other variables, row and column, and assign 0 to both of them. And the next thing I'm going to do is to get the data of our complete database, just the same as what we did instead of the PDF download function. So just the same as here, I'm going to get what we had here. So I think this is also extra here. Okay, so we're going to get all the data from our database. And paste that over here. So I can call this one also dblen. So this is the length of our database, and this is what we're going to get. Also, we will get the data of our database inside of our for loop. So now we're going to loop through our array right here, our data headers, and put them inside of our Excel file. So I can write for items in data headers. So here we're going to add some data to our Excel file. So we can write worksheet.write. So we have the row, which is equals to 0. We have the column, and then we have item, right? So the item that we're going to choose from the array. And there we go, items actually. So in the next line, we're going to add the column, because the column is changing. So we are in the first row, row number 0, but the column is changing because we're putting the headers of each column. So column plus equal to 1. We're adding the column one by one and placing the data headers. We're also going to create another loop for I in range dblen, db_len, which is the length of our database. So in range, we should have parentheses, db_len. And here we should write the main part of our code. So in this for loop, we're going to add the row, because we are looping through the row or the length of our database. So row plus equal to 1. And then we're going to, this is actually a loop inside of another loop. So a loop within a loop. And here we're going to loop the columns, right? And write different parts of our database related to one user. So for example, the first name, the last name, the email, the phone number. So for J in range, and here we want to set the range as the length of data headers array. And there we go. So each time, now we're going to add different parts of our data, right? So here we need to add one data and then column plus plus, and also do the same for other parts. So actually we don't need to do this, because we're going to read data from our database. So each time we're going to add to the column. So here I'm going to write worksheet.write, and just the same as before, row we have column, and then the item that we're going to have here is our data from our database. So it starts with I, and as you can remember, we didn't have some of the data of our database. So we didn't have the first one, second one, and the first one, and the third and fourth one, right? So we're going to skip those parts if that happens, and we're going to put 0 inside of it. So first of all, what we're going to write here, we're going to write the ID, but if it doesn't have any value, we'll go to the next row. So I'm going to write I plus 1, I plus 1, and then let's go to second line. So if the third line, and so if I equals to 0, and the reason we do this because we don't have those specific data. So if I equals to 0, if I equals to 2 for the third one, and also for the fourth one, I equals to 3. And by the way, if you don't have those data from your database missing, right here this is an exception. So because we have them missing, we will skip them. So continue. You can also check in your database if it has no data, then put that kind of condition inside of this if statement, and then continue instead of writing the numerations or iterations, iterations and the number of iterations, and then put or between them. So here, if that doesn't happen, we're going to continue this for loop and add the next column. So column plus equal 1. So we add the column and we go after our first name, right? So worksheet dot write, and here we have the row and the column, and here we're going to write the first name, right? So let's get classmates dot. So here let's get into objects.get. So here we have the same objects dot get ID equals to, so here we have I plus 1 is the ID, and here let me first define this and then use it. So let me copy this and write it over here, and there we go. So here instead of this I'm going to write the classmates, right? So classmate equals to this, and then we can write classmate dot first name. So this will be placed under the column under the data header first name. So we have the classmate dot first name, and also we will have we will write column plus equal to 1, and do the same for the last name. So I'm gonna copy and paste this a couple of more times. So also you can just place this over here. Oh, just address and okay, worksheet, and then we will, instead of this, we will use classmates.id, classmate.id. And so this is much better. So we've got the ID, we've got the first name, the last name, the email address, and the phone number. So that's it, we have all the data, and in the end we're going to set the column to 0, because then we will start again with the ID of the next user, and so we'll start from the column number 0. So the first one row will be, in the first line, the row will be added up by 1, and then we will check if the data exists. Because these three do not have data, we will skip them, but if we are not inside any of these three, then we will query data from our database, and we will write to our worksheet, which is our Excel file, and then we will, in the end, we will close our Excel file outside of our loop. We will close our Excel file. So we've got workbook.close, and then we will do exactly the same as what we did for our PDF file for sending the file response. So let me copy the exact same code and paste it over here for our Excel file. So we got the buffer as attachment equals to true, and here class list dot xlsx. There we go. And it's better to actually we need to write here buffer instead of class list dot xlsx. So save this, and so we'll try, we might have some errors, but don't worry, we will fix them. So let us write python manage.py run server, and we will follow the link. Here we go, we are inside of the link. So now let me just head over to the classmates. There we go, we have downloaded the Excel file, and there we go. So it's been downloaded. Let us check the Excel file. Let's see what's inside of there and see if there is any problem. So now we seem to have a very messy file. So let's check what went wrong. So the ID, first name, last name, email, and phone number are placed in the right place. But right here, we have some problems with our database, right? So here, first of all, the number 1 and number 2 are not placed in their own appropriate places. Also, we have 3 and 4, we don't have 5 and 6. So the first thing we need to do is to fix that inside of our code. So first of all, what we need to do is to add +3, actually +2 to our length, because we have some number of our data missing. So I think we need to write +3. So let me save the code first, and then we'll try again. We also need to fix something else, but for now let me just skip that, and let's get into our Excel file. Let's refresh, download the Excel file, and now we've got it. It's up. There we go. We have Also, we have inside of our last tutorial. So these three are fine, but I don't know what is the problem with these two. So let's also fix this one, and everything else will be okay. So with the first two, the problem is it doesn't start from 0, it starts from after the last one, and I think I know why that is happening here, because we haven't set the colon to 0 again before starting this for loop. So again, we need to set it to 0 because it gets to the end of the column, which is number, I think, 6 or 7, and so it's a number, I think, 5, right? So now it needs to become colon another time, and if we save the code and now get into our browser, refresh the page and download the Excel file, we will see that it's been fixed. Now, as you can see, all of our data has been fixed inside of the Excel file, and we have the data, the ones that are missing, and all of our data, whatever there is. So that's it for this part of the tutorial. We've managed to create an Excel file successfully, just the same as what we did for our PDF file. So that's it for this video.